in the left front pocket of the oil and gas industry. Is that true?
That is absolutely not true, Senator.
What we will do is not do that. We will do the converse of that.
Why is that dangerous? I thought it was not in the public interest because it would undermine the integrity of the criminal justice system.
That exchange right there, that's classic Senator John Kennedy. Blunt, relentless, and somehow charming in the way he cuts straight to the heart of the issue. Judge Crain stood his ground with calm confidence, and Mr. Duva, he reminded everyone that justice isn't just about the law, it's about trust. These are the kind of Senate hearings that show who people really are under pressure.
Justice Crain, we elect judges in Louisiana, do we not?
We do.
And we have elected judges, our people have decided to elect judges for a long, long, long time, haven't they?
As long as I can research, yes.
Are you responsible for that system of choosing judges?
Not at all.
When you run for judge, can you solicit campaign contributions?
You cannot.
You've run 3 times.
I have.
Have you ever solicited a campaign contribution?
I have not.
You have to go through a committee, do you not?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, one of my colleagues, not Senator Welch, suggested that you live in the left front pocket of the oil and gas industry. Is that true?
That is absolutely not true, Senator.
Do you live in anybody's left front pocket?
The only pocket I live in is the rule of law, Senator. And I think that my record reflects that.
You can feel the tension there. Kennedy sets up a trap question, but Crain handles it with textbook composure. His response, "The only pocket I live in is the rule of law," might just become a defining quote for his nomination hearing. It's clever, but it's also a subtle reminder that judges are accountable not to donors or politicians, but to the Constitution.
Mr. Duva, you've heard the expression lawfare, have you not?
Yes, sir.
What does that mean to you?
Well, I think lawfare gets to the alleged weaponization of the Justice Department and things.
What does that mean?
Well, it's a term that's been used quite a bit. I think it means that the Justice Department becomes the tool of a sitting president or the Congress or whoever to do its bidding and that only, and not follow the law, not follow the facts as applied to the law. What we will do is not do that. We will do the converse of that.
Why is that dangerous?
Because it leads to bias, it leads to improper prosecution, it leads to messes in courtrooms. There's a reason there's a justice manual. There's a reason that there is Rule 6E. I
don't want to talk about the manual. I want to talk about just basic human decency and common sense.
It also erodes the faith of the justice system and our citizens.
Okay.
That is dangerous because it is based on those citizens where the end result, the citizens become jurors. And we need jurors to have confidence in the Justice Department and the prosecutions that it brings and to fairly evaluate cases.
This part of the exchange is heavy. Kennedy is probing for one thing, integrity. The word lawfare has become political shorthand for using the law as a weapon. Duva's answer shows he gets the bigger picture, that faith in justice is fragile, and once it's gone, everything else crumbles. This isn't just about politics, it's about the soul of our justice system.
If I'm a candidate for district attorney, is that a principle that you agree with?
100%.
Okay. And you not only have to believe that the defendant is guilty, you have to believe that you can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, do you not?
You do. You have to have the facts. Without the facts, you have nothing.
Okay. Is that a principle that you possess?
I do, and that's how I've operated for 18 years.
Okay. And you also have to believe, do you not, that the prosecution is in the public interest? Is that correct?
You do.
Okay. Now, if one of your superiors came to you, well, let me answer the question for you for how I would do it. If one of my superiors came to me and said, look, you got to prosecute this case, and I looked at it, And either I didn't believe that the defendant was guilty, or I didn't believe I could prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, or I thought it was not in the public interest because it would undermine the integrity of the criminal justice system. I would resign.
You would, you would decline the matter.
Sir?
You would decline the matter for sure.
Right. And if they told me, if my superior said, look, Kennedy, you know, what planet did you just parachute in from? You don't have a choice. I'm your boss. I'm telling you to do it. I would resign. How about you?
I have no problem doing that. I would first just say, we're not doing this case, and here's all the reasons, and the discussion could go from there.
Okay. And if you were told to do it or quit, what would you do?
I'd quit.
This is the moment the hearing turns human. It's not legal theory anymore. It's about personal values. Kennedy's hypothetical about resigning instead of following an unjust order hits hard. And when DeSeva says, I'd quit, it lands with real weight. That's the kind of moral backbone people hope to see in public service.
Okay. Would you ever advise a client not to follow a federal court order?
No, sir.
I appreciate that. Appreciate you not qualifying it. If it's okay to disagree with a federal judge ruling, isn't it?
I often have.
Yep. It's okay to appeal it.
Absolutely. We have an appellate section. It's one of the best sections in the criminal division.
Notice how Kennedy closes the loop here, from politics to principle. He reminds everyone that disagreeing is fine, appealing is fine, but defying the law isn't. It's a simple civics lesson wrapped in an interrogation, and it's something our political climate could use a lot more of.
Within the bounds of legal ethics, it's okay to criticize it, isn't it?
Yes, internally.
But you got to follow it, don't you?
You do, absolutely.
Because that's called the rule of law, isn't it?
It is, and without that, you have anarchy and no confidence in the Justice Department.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate the frank answers.
Thank you, sir.
Those first moments set the tone right away. Senator Kennedy challenging Judge Crain with that sharp and memorable line, "Do you live in anybody's left front pocket?" And Crain responding, cool as can be, "The only pocket I live in is the rule of law, Senator." It's witty, it's confident, and it instantly tells the audience this isn't going to be a boring hearing. Then we move into a serious explanation from Mr. Duva about why weaponizing the justice system, what some call lawfare, is so dangerous. He talks about how it erodes the faith of the public, and if people lose that belief, the whole system starts to fall apart. You can hear the sincerity in the way he says it. And the biggest moral punch comes when Kennedy pushes him about what he would do if a superior ordered an unethical prosecution. Duva doesn't hesitate. "I'd quit." Kennedy even says he would do the same. That's the kind of conviction viewers don't forget. What you just saw is classic Kennedy, equal parts humor, pressure, and straight talk about values. Judge Crain and Mr. Duva handle it with steady principles, and that's exactly the moment you get a glimpse of who they are underneath the titles. The hearing opens with Kennedy asking Crain about Louisiana electing judges and the rules that forbid judges from soliciting campaign donations. Crain is probing, looking for any hint that Crain might be influenced by industry power or lobbyists. Crain pushes back, firmly and respectfully. No drama, just confidence that his record speaks for itself. Then the conversation shifts to Mr. Duva. Kennedy asks him about the meaning of lawfare, the idea that the Justice Department could be used as a political weapon instead of a neutral force for justice. Duva's explanation lands deeply. He doesn't talk like a politician. He talks like a prosecutor who has watched people lose trust firsthand. Next comes that big moral moment. Kennedy asks very directly, what happens if someone above you tells you to prosecute a case you don't believe in, either because there's no evidence or because it would undermine public trust? Kennedy says he'd resign rather than do something unjust. Duva matches that commitment instantly. "I'd quit." It's a rare moment where principle speaks louder than ambition. And as they move toward the end of the exchange, Kennedy tests Duva on whether it's ever acceptable to ignore a court ruling. Duva is firm. You can disagree, you can appeal, you can even criticize, but you have to follow the law. Full stop. Because once enforcement of the law becomes optional, society slips into chaos.
What we've seen in this hearing might look simple on the surface, but the deeper message is powerful. This entire exchange shines a spotlight on the one thing our justice system can't survive without: trust. Not blind trust, earned trust. Judges and prosecutors don't carry guns into the courtroom. They don't have tanks or squads of officers behind them. The entire system depends on the public believing that justice is being done fairly, honestly, and without favoritism. And at a time when people on all sides feel like justice is being twisted for politics, a conversation like this feels almost like a public service announcement. Integrity still matters. When Judge Crain says he only lives in the pocket of the rule of law, that's more than a clever response. That's a promise. It's a reminder that judges shouldn't be puppets for the powerful. They shouldn't bend to industries or governments or angry crowds. They must stand in the middle, neutral, independent, and unshakable. Then Duva talks about Lawfare, and you can feel the weight of his experience. He's seen what happens when justice becomes a tool instead of a safeguard. People lose faith. Communities stop cooperating. Jurors tune out judges. And the foundation of the legal system begins to rot from the inside. His warning is clear. Once the public stops believing in justice, the justice system stops working. And the moment he said he would walk away from his career rather than carry out a prosecution he believed was wrong, that's rare, very rare, because it is so easy, especially in government, to rationalize doing what you're told, even when it feels wrong. It takes real courage to protect the principle over the paycheck. Then there's Kennedy's final point about following court rulings no matter what. This is a critical message in our current world. You can protest a ruling, you can file an appeal, you can say the judge was wrong, but you still have to follow the order. That's what separates democracy from disorder. If citizens or leaders pick and choose which laws to obey, then the law stops being a shield and becomes a suggestion. And when laws become suggestions, liberty doesn't stand a chance. So, what does this all mean for us? It means that the future of justice doesn't rest on fancy words or legal jargon. It rests on the character of the people who enforce the law. It rests on the strength of their ethics when nobody's watching. It rests on their willingness to say no when the pressure says yes. This hearing, with all its seriousness and occasional humor, reminds us that the rule of law is not self-sustaining. It lives or dies based on everyday human choices. And now I want to hear from you. Do moments like this, where nominees speak directly about ethics and accountability, actually rebuild trust in our justice system? Or do you think the distrust is already too deep and it will take more than words to fix? Do you believe hearings like this still help Americans understand the values behind public service? Or are they just political theater? Let's talk about it in the comments. Keep it respectful, keep it thoughtful, because these questions matter more now than ever. If you're interested in real conversations about law, accountability, and what justice should look like in America, hit that subscribe button, turn on all notifications, and stay tuned. There's a lot more we need to dig into. Thanks for watching, and remember, it's not the laws that protect freedom, it's the people who choose to follow them.